This is a story about, well, you probably worked out which animals the story is about, but it's a story from Zimbabwe, and it's called Elephant and Rhino, and this is how I will tell it to you. And it's a story about who should be the best, who should be the most respected, who should give way to whom. And Elephant and Rhino met on the path, and there wasn't space for them to walk beside each other. One of them would need to give way, and neither of them would. Elephant said, You don't speak elephant? Oh, I'll translate for you. Elephant said, "Get out of my way. I am the most important. I am the best." And Rhino looked straight at Elephant and said, "You get out of my way. I am the most important. I am the best." And the two of them looked at each other, and they got closer to each other, and closer, and closer, and closer, until they were horn to trunk, and they started to push against each other, each trying to push the other off the path. But they were as strong as each other, and neither of them would give way, so they just stood there pushing, and all the other animals wanted to get past on the path, were getting very frustrated. So eventually the monkey said, "Can't you find another way to decide who should give way?" So, what could we do? Oh, we could have a race. So the elephant and the rhino left their place on the path where they had refused to give way to each other and instead lined up for a race. The hyena started the race. 3, 2, 1, which means go in hyena language. And off they thundered. Bang, bang, bang. Their feet hit the ground. Thump, thump, thump. Crash, crash, crash. They went through the undergrowth, knocking everything down in their way. All the animals scattered and held on to each other to stop themselves falling over as the ground shook under them, and every tree trembled and every leaf rustled. And then the winner arrived at the finishing post, and the winner was the elephant. No, it was the. No, it was the. It was. They arrived at the same time, so that wasn't going to work, was it? So they had to find another way of finding out who was the best. I mean, they could play cards, yes, but they haven't got opposable thumbs to hold the cards, so that's not going to work, is it? But thank you for the suggestion. A quiz. They could have a quiz. And so they had a quiz, and they answered all the questions as best they could, but unfortunately, Rhino didn't know the date that Magna Carta was signed, but then why should a rhinoceros in Zimbabwe be interested in English history? And Elephant didn't know the capital of Outer Mongolia, which is Ulaanbaatar, by the way. But then he's unlikely to travel there, so why should he know that? And neither of them knew how many beans make 5, so it was a draw, and neither of them won. They could have an eating competition. Oh, that they could do. So the two of them started to grub up vegetables from the earth. Elephant reached his trunk up into the trees and pulled off branches and demolished the leaves, chewing on them and savouring each one for only a second because he wanted to eat as much as he could really quickly. While Rhino grabbed around the ground, tearing up grasses, finding roots, finding vegetables, and they ate, and they ate, and they ate, and they ate, until both of them were full, and all the other animals looked at them and decided that the winner was The winner was They'd both eaten as much as each other. It was another draw. So what competition could they... Wait a minute, wait. They've both been eating an awful lot of vegetables, and what goes in must come out. So the next competition will be, who can do the biggest pile of poo? So the elephant prepared himself, and then he... big cannonballs of dung. And then Rhino concentrated. he covered the ground underneath him with his dung. And all the animals gathered round and looked at the elephant's cannonballs and looked at the rhino's pile of poo. And they had to agree. The winner was Rhino. Oh yes, there was a clear winner. Rhino was much better at doing a pile of poo than Elephant. But let's take a moment to look at Elephant compared to Rhino. Elephant is much bigger than Rhino, and Elephant comes to any party with weapons. His sharp tusks. And Elephant was furious with Rhino. He was so angry that he had been bested in this ridiculous competition just so that he could go past Rhino on a path. And he took a few steps back, and then he charged at Rhino with his sharp tusks, and his tusks dug into Rhino's flanks, and blood began to pour, and then he kicked Rhino over, and he stamped on Rhino, and Rhino limped off away into the bush to hide from Elephant. So now, if you visit Zimbabwe or any other part of Africa where there are elephants and rhinos, you will find that Rhino is very meek and very nervous. But you will also never find a pile of rhino poo on the track. Oh, you'll find elephant's cannonballs. He leaves them there for you to see. But Rhino knows that if Elephant is reminded that he can do a bigger pile of poo, he could be in deep trouble. So Rhino will always scatter his poo, which is why you never find a pile of his dung. And that's my story of Elephant and Rhino from Zimbabwe, and that's how I have told it to you.